see whether it is going to be a very early pick on the Scion, something like that, and whether Doran is going to be able to abuse it here in this matchup, because I felt like the fact that Morgan was actually able to play the game in their previous matchup was a large reason why
100%.
Bro was able to get the win.
Yeah, no, I do agree. You know, his most played is Ambessa. Has not been a successful pick for him, but this is most played. It could be another pick they could lean on, depending on the draft here for T1. See a Kalista ban towards Guma, with Guma Carrier's lane prowess returning to full form. I think that's warranted. The Vi is a must ban. But remember, Owner is like Xinjiao, Pantheon.
Yeah.
I have whatever I want. But they could even just first pick Xinjiao and just lock it in and be like, cool.
Wow, with their first picking Gwen instead. This is crazy.
Well, you know, Jace can win this matchup if played to its full potential.
Oh, don't be silly, Wolf.
But they won't play that. They won't pick it, and I feel very confident to say that. If he locks in, I'll be so happy, man. I might jump out of my chair. But I know he won't.
I would be more happy if they locked in Xin Zhao, but instead they're going to take a Pantheon, of course, still very high up. Crocker going to elect to go towards that one instead. The Victor going to be the lock-in. I do think banning, denying Xin from Owner is probably more important, as they're thinking about some different options. But this is like his best by it so far. Like, he's just so good on this champion.
He's so amazing on 3 picks right now, right? The Xinjiao, the Pantheon, and the Fury.
And that's not to say that he has a small champion build, just to say that he's so good at these picks.
But he also then played the Sejuani against D+ and won on a facilitating jungle where he was on a 4-game losing streak before that, because T1 as a team have leveled up. It's just so scary to play against this jungler right now who's LCK's best. Silas to get locked in here.
Damn, Faker feeling himself here today, as that is a pretty terrifying top side. Remember, this is the, you can't hurt me in the circle style of situation here for T1, the Gwen and the Xin Zhao, and so that has been a phenomenal combo here in the LCK thus far, especially on the previous patch where Gwen was a lot stronger, as once again Morgan is opting in to the Ambessa pick.
Ambessa into Gwen. Feels a little bit more playable recently, but man, look at that win rate. I think it's because this pick has been a crutch for so many of our top laners here in the LCK, and it is just not a crutch that's keeping them as stable. We saw even Zeus lose on it in that 3rd game of our previous series. It is not a pick that's finding a lot of success right now, so we'll see. It's his most played, and it feels comfortable, and that's what the bro drafts have looked like as of late. Love this Xayah ban, because Pantheon and Ambessa want to go in and get on top of that 80 carry, and that one's one that can just press R and say no to that.
Yeah, Kai'Sa going to be taken away from Hype to take away some dive options. I don't know whether it's necessarily my favorite bit of synergy as far as a Kai'Sa draft is concerned. With a Victor, it doesn't feel quite as good, but still, they're going to take it away. The Lucian removed from Gumayushi has been so good at this champion as Hype, considering a misfortune, a fair bit of early power as well as some follow-up to the CC that Bro have.
I think Guma has leaned on the solution pick a ton in these situations where you would normally want to have an Ezreal here and you have the extra safety. But I think instead of just being like, oh, okay, well, they're going to dive on top of me, I want safety, he's like, my comp also goes in. I've got melee solo laners with a Xinjiao. I'll just play Jhin. My best pick of the season.
And this is the thing.
It was a missed opportunity to ban the Jhin.
Yeah, and oftentimes, this is the problem, right? There are too many champions now that you can't let Gumayushi play as well. The Jhin was often, the fact that Jhin was banned was the reason why I was playing so much Lucian. And now they're going to be banning the Lucian away because they're more scared of that, and that means that he gets this pick that allows this composition to flourish. This is a very, very well put together composition by T1. Polo going to take the Braum. We did see fantastic Braum performance from Peter earlier on, but this will mean that a lot of the engage owners...
I can separate them.
I love Sunke, and then I got tickets on the T1 side, so I'm supporting T1 or something like that. I absolutely love that. That's the vibe that we're looking for. As Ambessa looks pretty mad, let's see whether Morgan can translate that to some fury on the Rift as well. Let's get into it. Oh my god, the Bro fan chant leader, that was the most passionate I have ever heard them starting off their fan chant. That was brilliant.
He makes Degon look like a peon. And you guys have seen Degon's chants. You guys couldn't see him, you might have heard him, but it's hard to hear him solo before the chant hits, but that was next level. I'm not even really throwing shade on Degon, I'm just trying to show you guys the scale.
Yeah, this is the scale.
You guys have seen Degon go nuts, but this guy, he was Degon times 8.
Yeah, I've never been just surprised, right? Like often, you know, there's always a fan chant leader, and they're often pretty passionate.
I think
that was like borderline. I'm losing my mind.
I think that guy probably pretted bro twice this week. I'm sorry, Deacon. You did the one thing to me, and now I'm on a tirade.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll forgive you. You are last impressed. So like we can see why perhaps you're feeling a little bit.
Dean and I also had the same preds this week, and we were both so confident it was going to be the 10 out of 10 week, and KT ruined it.
Deacon's just chilling. He's just talking to his bros in Twitch chat, man. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, that Degon performance right there was 1/16 of that.
16th is generous, Wolf.
This is not the matchup that Degon was feeling good about the bros in, to be fair. And I think we're all kind of feeling like T1 are looking to be a very solidly third place team. And we'll see what happens in the match against Hanwha, because Hanwha is a little bit shaky right now. Maybe they could go even higher.
Yeah. Doran, the only one to have lost on the champion that he's playing here today. Owner 5-0.
Also for Kuma.
Yeah. This is one of the problems, is that T1 have now found themselves in a position where, you know, they're stringing some wins together and they're finding what works. Right now, the Sylas is not necessarily working here in the mid lane, as Closer is putting on a lot of pressure, but the Xin Zhao and the Jin have been such a core element to T1's win condition so far that this is feeling like another day at the office for T1 in this particular game.
100%. Those are just using the range advantage he has in this matchup. Faker has not missed a beat in terms of the farm, though, even though his health bar has taken quite a few hits. He is still matching Closer in this lane. Dodges this time, baits him on the last time he got hit, but this time he will avoid.
Actually, very respectfully played here by Closer, as we can see. Expecting that Owner could be waiting in the wings and knows that Croco is a little bit far away.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have vision on Owner right now.
Morgan. Pretty aggressive here.
This matchup has, like, it's been volatile. Like,
yeah, and it's evolved, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen repeated nerfs to Gwen because they buffed her early game, which has just made her perma-prio as Faker's going in.
Yeah, chains go down, but he's going to get stunned up by the gravity well.
Owner's
and there's
close.
the flash out. Yeah, Owner comes in, and I think Faker was banking on Closer flashing after him, seeing red, and Closer did not do so. Hype having to get out of the way of this one as well, as he does still have barrier available. I'm surprised he didn't use that, really holding off here in this bottom lane. Just going to be eating his one potion.
Really interesting, but it pays off.
Yeah.
And ends up being a pretty good trade there.
Oh, Morgan going to face check here. Does get that ward down. Owner goes in, but Morgan has 11 dashes and uses 2 of them and is fine. Yeah. As Faker is teleported back to lane, going to be able to get a crash in as the teleport immediately comes down from Closer. Only going to miss out on 1 melee minion. Oh, and a caster there as well, as we can see. And the Bros actually doing absolutely fine.
Yeah, the laning phase looking really good. Bottom lane, they have control. Top lane, Morgan's playing the matchup well. Mid lane, you know, Faker lost his flash trying to look for an ambitious play there with Owner. They were a little bit too far away from each other, but it was a nice bait attempt. And you always trust Owner with those, but Closer was too respectful.
Yeah. I don't fault Faker for making that play at all.
100%.
Like, Closer has often overextended because he sees red, right? And this time he just didn't. So
it was one of the biggest criticisms we had of him on that 2021, you know, T1 roster as a trainee. And he has evolved a lot since then, playing against his then master Faker. Now in this game here, his flash advantage won't necessarily amount to anything.
Oh, Doran gonna miss the cannon. And so that is that's a big step up there from Morgan. Gets into his minion wave. Morgan is able to fight back. You can see the gold is in advantage for Morgan here. For Doran here, who's able to just get a few more of these creeps.
Yeah.
It does feel like Morgan's getting the better end of the trades, but just cannot last hit quite as well as Doran at this point in time. Croco moving down, walks over a ward here. He's considering going for a early dragon.
It's going to at least
alive
make it mad.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Morgan did get control after that trade, and the wave is pushing in his advantage, so he can come up here and help out. Owner aware of this. Have a control ward, though, in the pit. I don't think Owner can really stop this. He is going to come over here and verify that, in fact, this dragon is going. Don't think he'll be flashing for a 50-50, though.
It's feeling a little bit like a 4v3, but the Drake does go over to the Bros, and T1 will just back away.
All right. Bro, early game.
Yeah, man, it's working. And honestly, the Bros have always been pretty good at early game. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of been their bread and butter. Things kind of go wrong after that at all of the other phases of the game. Oftentimes, but we'll have to see whether this is going to be better, as they do have a lot of tools for later in the game.
Faker gets cannon, closer misses it.
Oh, it's doomed. Never mind. So we're moving towards the mid game.
That's
what you're telling me. It's so wait a second, I'm breathing. It's apparently never.
Wait, Croco 15 gold lead.
See,
We're
there
so
you
back.
go. We are so back. It's never Brover. As okay, this might be as hype. Never mind. No follow up. As there was Polo making his way in, and a full health Brom going to be enough to defend the misfortune.
You know,
very comfortable.
Closer and Croco do kind of remind me of Umpty and Lava in terms of their playstyles.
Ooh, yeah, there's a bit of a LoL King vibe here.
Croco Closer, a little bit aggressive in the early game, very strong laning from Closer. Reminds me of Lava. Reminds me of the old Fredit days,
Yeah.
Bro have always kind of kept that early game, early aggression identity. I do agree with you on that. That's what we love about them, amongst other things.
Oh, Croco also able to get the shellfish, man.
Yeah.
Perfect example, right on time.
Denies level 6 from Owner. Level 6 advantage, can't use it, but he's got it.
Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And we're being a little facetious here at this stage of the game because honestly, like, nothing really means very much at all. It's a 300 natural gold lead for T1. As, the top side of the map, well, the bottom side, I guess, right now, Doran being able to last hit a lot better than Morgan, and he will be a Gwen later into the game. All of those things that we mentioned in the draft are still going to be true, As I say, Doran's last hitting really well. He misses 2 minions, one after the other, but gets the cannon.
That's the one that counts. Yeah, well, okay, missed that one too. But it's okay, you got the cannon, that's the one that counts.
The entire gold lead is just Doran and being able to hit minions better.
Well, he is playing into this Mbessa, which can dash around a lot, but isn't quite necessarily going to be able to extend trades, especially because he went for Grasp and Doran went for the Conqueror, so this has a little bit more combat power in extended fights. And when that Conqueror procs, Morgan's like, I'm not really sure if I want to continue to stay involved in the situation. Just wants to grasp as much as possible. As T1 have full control over these grubs right now. Closer is denied entry by Faker. And, I mean, with the look of things here, unless hype rotates over, Croco has ult. They're just so slow with this. I feel like they're going to contest. They needed to do it moments ago, and they're just simply going to give this up.
Yep, I think they realized that they weren't actually able to do it. Still had to deal with the minion wave towards the top side of the map. And so the Bros just going to give the grubs, and they'll look to fight elsewhere. Closer in this mid lane, still doing okay. As you can see, he's keeping that health bar in a really good spot up against Faker, who's using his in trade for minions. And you can see it's working out relatively well, only 10 CS behind. Against the Victor is not bad for the Sylas matchup.
No, pretty good, yeah. That was a bit of a strange cut.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. We really needed to get back here and have a look at the mid lane matchup, though.
Yeah.
Faker throwing chains around, there are gravity fields all over the floor.
Cannon! Yeah. Oh, gets those.
Absolutely nails it.
That's the GOAT.
Yep. As Closer will be able to take his as well. Ooh, trained by the GOAT, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Oh, boy. Well, this is a very slow bro early game.
It's feeling a bit bro and brew, isn't it?
Yeah. Usually it starts a little bit later, but we're getting early this time.
The Arcane Storm on the wave, being utilized here by Faker. Just hijacks that one away, gives him a little bit of a moment of respite. And 1 minute until this Drake is going to spawn. We'll have to have a look at what the soul is going to be.
One of the key things about how Doran has generated this lead is he's never put himself in a gankable spot. And I really appreciate that because there's a Pantheon on the other side who's been level 6 plus for a while now. Doran's always kept the minions exactly where he wants them, so there have been a lot of great opportunities for Croco to actually try to punish this Gwen or get in there and push the Gwen behind. He just hasn't taken an opportunity really to look for anything with this Pantheon ult just yet, and I think that needs to happen soon. It's not quite like a Nocturne or Twisted Fate situation where you need to be using it on cooldown, but certainly looking for something in the bottom lane as Faker is trading.
Yeah, the Arcane Storm doing a fair bit of work here as Kingslayer gets his health back, and Faker is basically at the same health as he was prior.
Owner's in the bottom lane too here, so I don't know if Croco can really find an angle at this moment in time, even with the cryo they have.
Yeah, this Victor is going to become a problem though, as Faker dives in, able to chain back, really nicely done there.
That was clean.
It was. Doesn't get the cannon though. It's a little bit of a shame. As Closer going to go exit through the river. And Ona's still looking for this because Closer's not quite as fast as he once was. The flash out there from Ona, but now he's kind of juked. Oh, that was awkward. And now Polo's going to move over, stand beside Brom, and Closer is just fine. Damn, that was some dancing.
Yeah, that was really impressive from Closer. Just also how much confidence he had. And that allows him to just get the dragon for free because they see Owner coming and Closer's like, all I have to do is not die and this is a win for us. It's 2 dragons for Bro. They love taking the dragons. They love the Chemtech Soul. It's the same color as their team color.
Yep,
so
there we go.
Actually good for them, right?
Yeah.
Optimism, yeah.
Thank you very much, Orcs, for not paying attention because this is only going to say Bro because, yeah, like you say, they've already got a green Drake and they get another green Drake that's a slightly different shade. That's pretty cool. So they get the Ocean and they get potentially 2 Chemtechs. Let's see whether T1 can stop the Soul Point from coming in, though. That's going to be 4.5 minutes. As the Bros, feels like they have a lot of control. They don't really have that much. It's sort of like the game is even.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying here.
I feel like the Pantheon pick was a super good pickup, you know, with the first pick Gwen. Like, they got a high-tier pick in return. They still gave over Xin Zhao, but haven't really been able to utilize this pick at all in this game thus far, you know, outside of really trying to make that pressure happen in mid just the one time just to catch the aggression from Owner, but now he's going to get a stun at least.
Yeah. Crocker is just going to push Faker away. Grand Starfall now available for the Pantheon as now Polo looking for an angle, but it's Owner that comes on through. He gets stunned up though. The Arcane Storm comes down. Magnus Storm's there as well. It's Stormy here in this bottom lane as Faker gets into the back line. Croco goes down first. Polo second to follow. And T1 just wiped 2 off the map. They're just too clean.
That wasn't quite what I had in mind when I mentioned the Pantheon. Wasn't really being that aggressive, wasn't looking for anything. As Closer is the next target and the next victim.
Yeah, this gravity field is doing a lot of work, as we can see. Carrier is going to go down. The teleport from Morgan comes on in there as now Faker looking to turn it onto high melee range with this Silas is not where the Misfortune wants to be. As that bullet time, it was time for something else, I think, in that particular moment. Morgan's going to be able to take down Owner, though, and it makes it a little bit better there for the Bros.
It's like the gun that when you pull the trigger, a flag comes out, like in the mask.
Yeah, a little bit like that. As Croco almost deals with the wave while he crashes down there, but Doran, with the fact that the minion survives, just going to wander his way out.
Big victory here is that Keria got the kill. Hold up.
Gumushi going to have to flash.
All right, that's another big victory. Slightly less big, but Keria, as he's dying, takes the kill onto Closer. But watch this. Faker actually steals the Grand Starfall, and then the rest of the team rotates over. And Faker, because he's Silas and he's so beefy in these brawls, can use the Kingslayer here to buy enough time. Then he actually looks for the backline re-engage here, so there's no way out. Keria pulls a Magnet Storm. They're at the exact same spot. And also, look where Guma is. He's involved in this as well. Like, this is just a clean turnaround here. You have to remember that T1 can turn on a dime in these types of fights. Now, Keria gets the kill here, and because of this great, well-placed gravity field here, it's actually a kill for the victors. So that's a big trade back. This was a little bit more awkward, and
it's very uncomfortable when you're trying to aim a cone at someone and they're literally right on top of you. So a little bit difficult there for Hype to figure out where to put the bullet time. And ultimately, Faker is able to win out on the trade, or at least not die, which is the main thing.
It's a nerve-wracking moment when Faker is on top of you as a Silas, and you're like, oh god, don't mess this up.
Yep, and it's like, in this game, it's the first real advantage. It is going to be feats of strength going over to T1 as well, as this top lane outer turret falls down. Doran kind of getting massive, which is a little bit of a problem. However, the gold is not, it's not in a ridiculous lead for T1.
No!
Now, Faker also going to be face-checking here. Croco and Polo there, Closer with the damage, and this Silas is going to try its very best to get out. It's not going to work. And so the Bros pulling closer and closer with T1 once again.
How do you like hide on bush?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be, it looks like, potentially a turret in exchange here. Now, they did make this play successfully because Owner was on the other side of the map, but that also means Owner is going to get the Herald for free, so that's going to be a lot of damage potentially put into this mid turret. That's sitting at like 60-ish%.
Yep.
So one turret apiece as Closer finishes off that bottom turret with a play onto Faker. We'll see what that Herald ends up being used for. Could just be for Drake Prio here, 30 seconds time when what would be Soul Point for Bro does spawn. See a teleport from Faker to the top side of the map, though.
Yeah, that's
indicating
actually,
they're not that interested.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward. that he's heading towards topside. 20 seconds on the Dragon, but might just mean that T1 not feeling too confident. They used a fair bit of vision resources there towards the top side of the map. As you can see, the Herald sort of surrounded by vision.
Yeah, I mean, it allows Faker to try to deep push. And they will see the Pantheon is on the top side of the map as well. Of course, Croco does have a global ultimate, so can join quickly, but this forces Bro to make a decisive call quickly here on this Dragon, and the hype is really pushed in the mid lane, and I don't think they'll necessarily be able to punish the fact that Faker went topside there to get this Dragon, and T1 have control on both sides of the map, and Doran is winning inside here in the bottom lane, so now you just don't have Prio anywhere. And they know Closer doesn't have TP.
Yep, no punishment, and yeah, Closer and Faker, both of them, with no TP. So with the fact that Faker teleported to the top lane, there's absolutely zero punishment available here.
You know, it's like these moments from Faker where you could see he's like, okay, they might give Dragon, Closer doesn't have TP, he might try to trade for turret because they have a 2 Drake lead. I'm just not going to allow that. You guys push up bottom side, Doran push bottom side, we get Prio for Dragon, we already have Prio mid, I TP top. I deny them that turret in exchange, and we get the Dragon. It's like these moments where you can see T1 are thinking like 3 steps ahead, and Bro just end up with nothing.
Yeah. Bro also, I feel like, had an opportunity to play for that soul, but they just didn't really look interested. As now Doran, speaking of not being interested, he probably would prefer not to die here as the public execution does go down. Polu going to turn up there as well, and yeah, with Winter's Bite stacking up, down he will go. Concussive blows. Sorry, as Morgan is going to be rewarded with the kill. 2-0-0 on this Ambessa, and he's getting closer and closer to a gold lead against his opposite number.
Yeah, that's a pretty significant pick there. After losing Dragon, not being able to get the topside turret, at least they had the bigger group there as T1 were a little bit desynced post-Drake. Nice play to come through. We'll watch it again here on the bottom side. As you can see, Pantheon lying in wait. Morgan goes in. And here comes the Grand Starfall, and unfortunately for Doran, they're in the circle with him.
Yeah.
They are melees, and he can't really get away here. He does secure the Bloom.
Oh, there you go. So there are some upsides.
Not really, but it was a good play from Bro. It was just really funny watching it back where he's just like, cut the scryers.
Nailed it.
It's just such a, like, you know, when you're playing League, when you die, sometimes you're a support, you're just like, drop a ward here, I don't know, like,
yeah.
get something.
And you're like, at least they did something, you know?
Get that last hit on the minion.
Well, let's see what Hype's going to be able to do before he dies. As Polu is going to come in and see whether he can keep him alive, puts up the door, and Hype will live. Just going to get out of range. Polu happy to tank up that last shot from Gumayushi.
Ooh, Faker getting aggressive here on the bottom side.
Yep, there is still a turret that's pretty healthy, as Faker is just trying to make sure that Closer's life is as difficult as possible. And the Rift Herald going to be getting a charge, so it's likely going to cut open this mid lane as Doran looking for some of that needlework. Of course, you need to land it here to get all of that sustain that the Gwen does have. And Kerry is moving up. Morgan just not going to quite find it here as he looks to try and dash away, but the Shattering Strike comes in, and Doran, he's running with scissors. He's real scary.
That was a cool attempt there from Morgan to try to use Keria to get out, but unfortunately will not succeed. And down he goes, so what was looking like maybe he was getting a little bit more traction in this game, unfortunately, will no longer be the case.
That doesn't quite work out. Now has his 2 items completed, but I don't think had them for the last battle.
No.
As Croco on vision, not going to stop Keria from going back home. So
see, like, he wants to go in here. Doran's pretty low, but doesn't actually go back towards his husk of a turret. And a nice attempt here because he's got dashes, right? I was able to get Keria's flash because he needs to secure the lockdown there. It actually ends up being, I didn't realize Keria flashed in the original play, so that ends up being actually pretty worthwhile. More than just looking cool and an almost get out.
Yep, he manages to get the bigger cooldown for it. Arakan going to be spawning here down towards this bottom side. 2 minutes on the Dragon, so they don't have to deal with both of them just yet. As now Gumayushi could be in trouble. He has to flash to get out of the way of the Winter's Bite there, as well as now Ona might be paying for his sins. Morgan getting amongst it, and the Crescent Guard not quite working, but Croco also down extremely low. Guma takes so long to go down, but Doran, he is not immune. Neither is Keria, and Faker realizing that he's going to have to cut his losses. This could just be Arakan time for the bros. But they're going to move towards the mid lane instead.
Taking a gold lead off of this play. 4 down for T1 and a play they overcommitted to. Knows Keria's ult just came back online. after the play there in top side, so didn't have it, but acted like he did with his re-engage there with the rest of the squad hyper-committing. Faker just trying to return to his turret here to save it, and is able to help clear out this wave at least so he can keep it alive a little bit longer. He was the only survivor.
It was actually so smart from Faker as well, because he went over to immediately catch the wave.
Yeah.
Bro, thankfully, like, moved back there immediately instead, but it otherwise could have just been Faker sort of cutting the rug from underneath them.
100%.
But still, they do manage to get some damage down.
Like, this initially starts as Guma getting caught. He flashes away, right? Doesn't have cleanse, so has to flash. Gets caught by the Braum ultimate here from Palu. And then we see Keria double down on the flank here with Faker. It doesn't have Magnet Storm, so they just kind of run over T1 in this fight. Faker can do nothing. At least he cuts his losses and survives while holding that wave, as you mentioned, to prevent the turret from going down. So he turns what was a disaster into at least slightly more salvageable. They didn't lose the mid turret. That's one strong fortress. They can still play around there in the mid lane. 20 seconds till this next dragon does spawn here. Bro got a lot of momentum. They have IE for hype now. 2 items for closer. This is a 2-item Pantheon as well. Like, this is a very winnable team fight here for the side of the Bros if they can get grouped and hold that prio. And right now they have it.
See whether they can be in the right places at the right times. This is the problem point for the Bros, right? It's understanding where to be on the map post 15 minutes. And unfortunately, Bro Leavers, it is post 15 minutes. So they're going to start off this dragon, see what the answer is here from T1. Ambessa on that top side of the map to teleport in from the Gwen to start this one off. Gravity Well now on cooldown as in comes Morgan. It's a 5v5, it's gonna be honest, but that Magnet Storm is so good! And the Bros are going down so low. Croco able to grab Soul Point, but can they actually stay alive in the fight? That's the question. Grand Starfall, and he just exits! All right, and they just call for the disengage.
Yeah, very close to dying anyways, but he is able to channel it and get away. Closer's going to clear this wave. Can he actually get the turret here? That would be massive. He's just got these 2 ranged minions, and I think he has just enough damage to take this one out. He's going to have to do one more shot, and he'll get it. And I think he gets away too. Doran is the only one nearby, and he's got his buddy there. Now they're losing Otacon, of course, for this, but I think that went about as well as it could have for Bro after that fantastic Magnet Storm from Keria. This time, he has the ultimate, and you can see what the last fight could have looked like if it was set up like this. Is the angle here looks a little bit awkward, but the follow-up actually from Guma is super good.
Yeah, Hype's position is just kind of insane as Faker finds a bullet time in this fight as well and throws it at Apollo. I didn't even see that.
I loved the way that Croco played that as well, as he gets on top of the Jhin to buy a little bit of extra space away from everybody else and knows that Jin's slow-firing nature, he's Jhin, allows him to have just enough time to ult out there. I think Croco really understanding the lengths at which he could actually maybe get out of that fight. Like
I think it was like pretty crisp call as well from the Bros to be like, oh no, it's done. Like, Hype's dead, let's get out of here, we don't have the DPS. And then they actually managed to disengage. They have the mega disengage cones as well, so that's certainly handy here on the Chemtech Rift, but still.
They get the dragon, I mean, Soul Point, and
it's important.
They press the eject button, and I guess the game continues, right? Their lead is still small, but it's significant.
There's no like experience leads on this map either, right? Like with the fact, like when you snowball into an Otacon, then sometimes the experience leads can be a bit ridiculous. Like there's like an extra level on everyone. But this time around, as you can see, there is still experience parity because the Bros have been pretty good at sticking around in their lanes and locking down the resources. So really nicely done here for the Bros so far. This is neck and neck though at 25 minutes.
Yeah, Closer is about to be a team fight monster. The fact that this Gwen, you know, it has a lead. It's kind of had this small sub-500 lead this entire game, but hasn't been able to take over sides, means that the Pantheon has a lot of power here. It can shut down any side lane attempts from T1. And front-to-back team fights are kind of what you want to do with Jhin, where you have all of your melees who are super tanky, your bruisers go in, you have the Xin Zhao, the Gwen, and the Sylas, and then Guma does a ton of damage, but Closer's damage at this point is massive as well, and he has added safety of having this arm guard for the next fight. Baron is up. They have Soul Point in their hands, so 2.5 minutes until they could look to fight for that as well. This is a Bro team fight comp that works extremely well together if they can set up first. And, you know, they've been able to reasonably do that for much of this game. And T1 haven't been able to turn this Gwen into a big side lane threat just yet, even though Doran is sitting on 2 items. It's not actually pushing to threaten turrets. You can see that it's being watched by Closer right now in the top lane.
Yeah, Closer also just eradicates waves, so Doran not going to be able to tank up turrets, and the backdoor burn is going to be too powerful. So The Victor, not necessarily known as a side laning champ, as now Faker could be in a little bit of trouble. Croco just running on in. And there is the flash out from Faker. He might actually survive this, as immediately T1 are on the Baron. Polu gets idea of what's going on, but do they actually manage to rotate over? That's the question.
Faker has TP. Morgan does not. There is
Grand Starfall.
Yeah, they should be able to get Morgan in here, and I think T1 are making the right call to back away.
Oh, man. And you saw, like, this is the classic T1 play. They try to catch Faker on a side lane. He narrowly escapes, but already the team's doing Baron.
Yeah.
And the Bros, thankfully, had an answer for it, but T1 don't get punished for a play like that because the Bros already invested more onto the other side of the map.
And Morgan completely whiffed his ultimate down there in the bottom lane. It might have been because of the way that Faker got over the wall. He predicted where Faker would land incorrectly because he didn't have vision there. But if he hits that, I think Faker probably does die, but he missed it. Faker was ready to TP to Dragon. He makes the, or rather to Baron. He makes the call. You guys do Baron. I'm going to get this free back off. I'm going to have full health. And they know Morgan at that time didn't have TP. Sure, the Grand Starfall is there, but unfortunately T1 didn't quite have the damage to hold the Baron. And I think backing away made a lot of sense. But it's always those threats you have to be so ready for when you play against T1.
100%. 30 seconds now on the Chemtech Soul as well. Shattering Strike comes down. There's the chain CC. Magnustorm as they commit onto Hype, who has to flash very early in this fight. Ona dashing forward, but there's Polu with the save. Crescent Guard does come on down as now the rest of the cavalry will turn up. Ona, the first one to fall, is Hype using that Bloodthirster to get his health bar back. It's a good Deadly Flourish to try and save Carrier, but the Grand Starfall gets Croco in, and down he goes. I'm not entirely sure about that particular play, as now T1 feeling like this is their opportunity, but Morgan gets into that backline as Gumayusi's in so much trouble. Still, so much burst damage onto him. And the Bros, they managed to take down Ona, but Croco, just in light of fairness, is going to throw his life away as well.
He said jungle for jungle.
Yeah, that's the trade.
And they are going to be able to turn. It's still a one-team fight, even though it's a one-for-one. Like, they won the subsequent fight, so T1 lower health bar is not able to contest. I mean, they're trying to come over here. A big flank from Doran.
Yeah, and Faker actually had the Grand Starfall. The Bros trying to get back into position, and they may have bitten off more than they could chew. Closer trying to do what he can here with his AoE damage, but down goes Hype. Gumayusi stands his ground, and even though the gravity field is good, it's not good enough. It's a triple here for the Gwen, as Carrier with some supportal combat against Polu. He gets the Gromp involved, and Gumayusi's delivered a kill. That is soul denial, and it's a bit soul crushing as well for the Bro Leavers.
It certainly is. T1 taking a significant gold lead off of this. Faker's already got his eyes on Baron vision as well on the top side of the map, as it looks pretty good here in the outset for Bro, as we do have the jungle trade. Those, again, they are looking for the Baron start in live. But it ends up being Owner going very deep for this. It's a heroic play from Polu. Stands beside and knocks Owner up with the ultimate there, buying space for Hype, who doesn't actually use his ultimate just yet in this fight. Then Croco gets a little bit far ahead of himself here, while Hype is nowhere near and ends up just exploding. But they end up winning the subsequent fight. Now they're on Baron.
Oh god, oh god, oh god. Okay, well, Croco is just going to get executed, and the Baron will go over to T1. Baron plays at T1. They're pretty good at it. And that is going to secure them that. And it's so T1, right? Because this game was exceptionally close for the entirety. They win one team fight pretty decisively. This one, in fact, right here. And now with this Baron going down, they're going to take a whole bunch of turrets. It's going to be an 8,000 gold lead and probably GG.
I mean, the thing about this fight is, I think for Bro's perspective, it seemed like a good angle to do Dragon. They won the fight. There was some desync spawns, and there's some backs coming through, right? But Faker having the Grand Starfall is such a game changer.
Yeah.
And he's able to show up to that fight and lock them into place there, and they're not able to escape. They don't have the tools because they used them in that last skirmish to actually win the fight. And they just thought T1 were going to give it up. T1 doesn't give up so easily on these big objectives. And that team fight win, the later part of it, the second version of it, you could say, is what gets them the Baron. They deny Croco entry, no 50-50, no Smite Steal, a dead jungler. And like you said, T1 are going to turn this into an 8K plus gold lead, very likely.
Yeah, that's the danger. So far, haven't really picked up too much. Is now Hype able to sidestep very nicely. But Croco is fighting with Doran, and Doran is just fighting with the turret. And he's going to win that battle, as Croco going to have to flash over the wall. Hype with these auto attacks is pretty scary, and Faker having to go golden, but he's still going to die. And the Arcane Storm also pushing T1 away. So even though they've got the Baron, they're not going to be able to utilize it for the next little while. They're going to need to go back, lick some wounds, and the Grand Starfall actually getting Croco in there. He'll get the stun onto Doran. Is it an overextension, though? That's the question, as Gumayusi at full health, but now he's left out to dry. The rest of the bros chasing after them. 4 versus 5, advantage for the bros, but still, T1 get away.
That captive audience, so high value there as well. That was the moment where bro was just like, no, it slows down, we can't chase anymore. As Faker goes very deep for this, actually misses his chains as well, takes a ton of turret damage, and this started to get a little bit weird, right? I mean, Morgan's not here, but bro can rotate over. Croco gets over the wall. Faker goes golden, but
the double up onto Doran as well. Completely pushed him out. Hype really saving the play in a big way in that moment.
Clean double up. And Faker does lose his arm guard off of that. He'll have his Zonias in the next big fight, you have to imagine, but we'll don't have it for whatever transpires here. The last 30 seconds of this T1 Baron. Maybe a flank angle for Croco if he had his ultimate, but he doesn't. He used it in the last play.
And it's only a 5k gold lead. We were talking about the fact that T1 pretty good at ballooning it. I think with that last play, doesn't quite work out, as Croco is possibly once again dead. Carrier able to use the Magnet Storm and get out, but Croco will survive for the moment. Bullets flying on in here as Ona on a ward right now, and Gumayusi will find the last shot, take down the Pantheon.
Closer hates Croco confirmed.
Yeah.
What was that?
That's so unfair.
No, it just wasn't even necessary.
You just stand in front of him, man. As T1 also a little bit upset about it, but that interruption from Polu, the president, might be making things happen, and the Lord decrees that it is time to get into the backline and win this game. The Gwen gonna go down, and Morgan is still up, pushing Faker away, but Faker does manage to take down Closer. It's a lot of the DPS now missing. Ona now as well. Wind becomes lightning, but he's getting hunted down.
Will Morgan find him? I think the answer is yes.
Yep, Guma trying to escape, but the captive audience, Deadly Flourish, and he just does a lot. So yeah, Morgan does get into melee range, but then what?
Yeah, he just gets rooted, and then he can't hit the Jhin anymore, and the Jhin is kind of big.
Yeah, the Jhin hits all buttons and then goes boom.
Yeah, this was not the greatest ult from Hype. It helps clear the wave. But if this was actually a better synced up fight, I think that T1 could have gotten crushed even harder.
Now let's see the moment where Closer decides that he doesn't like Croco. There it is. Polu was going to stand beside Closer and get up the door, but then he went untargetable, and then he was untargetable, and so he couldn't target him to go beside him and then put up the door.
No, I think
No, I think it's Closer's fault.
Yeah, I think Closer just doesn't like Croco. It's weird. No, I'm being facetious, but that was a bit of a strange one. Anyway, and the subsequent follow-up, like T1 get a little bit split, right? They're playing Jhin. So once his ult is down, like he doesn't have consistent DPS like a normal AD carry does, and the rest of the comp is melee. So they end up winning the fight until Morgan goes in, and Guma has reloaded, and he has enough DPS to shoot 4 times at an Abessa who's rooted, and he does.
And now we have 3 dragons on both sides. This could be a quadra Chemtech Soul for T1, which would mean that when they have low health, they don't have low health. And that on a Gwen does not sound like something that I want to see.
Yeah, it might be time to... I mean, Closer's already got an Oblivion Orb, but I think everyone else might be looking to invest soon.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of healing and shielding power that T1 will have in their arsenal. Silas with that?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, and there's already a mortal reminder, like, Gumayusi, he has saw the future where a potential Chemtech Soul could be a problem. Bro, not necessarily setting up for that that situation. So now we've got an emergency Oblivion Orb coming through from Closer. We'll see whether this Arcane Storm can make sure that he can limit some of the healing.
Will definitely help a lot, because he's going to be hitting a lot of people, and he needs to be, because he is really their most consistent damage in these team fights, as Hype needs to also hit big ultimates, which so far hasn't really been the case. On this level 18 Misfortune, he's just not quite able to make the impact.
Yeah.
Unless
still
this setup
sitting
is
on
there.
the brown bags as well.
Yeah. I think part of the problem is that they're playing this Braum composition. The Braum doesn't really hold the enemies in place for the MF, so it's a little bit tricky. They don't have consistent engage outside of the Mbessa, which isn't going to be hitting multiple targets, will just be hitting one at the end. So Hype can use his ult defensively, and oftentimes Misfortune works really well into super melee heavy comps like what T1 have, because they all run into your cone and you do big damage, but again, it's a lot of ifs, and this Misfortune being level 18 and being on 4 items doesn't necessarily matter. He can't actually hit that big ultimate. He does a lot of damage, consistent damage if he is given the opportunity to, but it's kind of feast or famine how these fights are going to look for Bro, especially if closer dies for any reason. It is just unplayable.
And it's looking less and less playable based on these items that Doran seems to be able to purchase, because he's now got 4 of them, and the cool hat and the timepiece, he's looking pretty fly. As Closer is just riding that staff, wandering out of the base, as we can see here. And he does have his cool hat completed as well. We've got another purchase here, as at least a Noon Quiver is now done for Hype, but not too important.
Not the most exciting purchase, no.
Yeah, I was waiting for like his cool, like I'm getting the next, but he's already on 4 items. He's still, he's looking pretty strong.
It's more about what he hits with his ultimate than what items he has, I feel, in this one, and it's going to require some setup. T1 have full vision control, and I don't know how much agency Hype Croco and Morgan are really going to have here, as this Baron is just gone.
Yeah, we don't have any scrying ability, and it's just going to get taken down. So the Bros, they're going to choose a different time to fight, is what I expect.
I just don't think they could have fought there unless Croco just ults in and they just
yeah,
go
but then
for a
Croco
Hail
is
Mary.
definitely just dead.
Yeah. And I mean, they denied him last time, so he's probably got bad memories and he doesn't want to do it. But I don't think there was much of an option there for Bro. But sit back and give Baron and let T1 win the game is not really the option I was looking for. Is Croco?
Yeah, he's going to have to flash, but he's probably dead. Yeah, and by probably, I mean definitely.
If you're going to be there, you might as well just ult the Baron pit.
Very true.
I'm being mean, but I don't know. That's going to cost them big, because now that's no flank angle, real way to shut down this Baron at all. I mean, not for 40 more seconds while he's in the death chamber.
Well, now Morgan has found Faker and Carrier trying to get something done here in this mid lane. Morgan does do a fair bit of work. As you can see, the rest of the Bros are going to turn up. So this tower will survive. So you can see T1, they are pulling them around. Doran still pushing towards that top side, and Faker just immediately teleports back. Like you say, they are so good at making sure that you have to be aware of everything.
The 1-3-1 power, when you have this much control over the map, I mean, it kind of plays itself. You just go to the lanes and let the minions do the work and start sieging up from forever away.
Yep, and there it is. Tower goes down. Ona goes in immediately as the Arcane Storm is down. Closer goes Golden, and now Hype in the back line has his GA pop very, very early in this one. Doran's running with scissors all over the place, and that is just so much, too much for the Bros to deal with. Croco goes down. Doran's underneath 2 Nexus turrets and just goes Golden and says, this is totally fine. They'll take these ones down, and T1 move to 1-0 in their match against the Bros, looking to get revenge for round 1.
There were certainly some shaky moments.